Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4 Last Days of Europe with me, Alpha Bi Omega and Greater Germanic Reich. So in the previous episode we have decided to eradicate slavery, and today we're going to continue with that, and most likely we're even going to start reforming our science base, but we'll see about that. We are still amidst reforming our fleet as well. The cruisers though are looking kind of cool, and we are drilling our navy so that we have enough experience to design an entirely new missile cruiser. We are also recruiting 2 full infantry armies and reinforcements for the Panzer Division, for the Panzer Army, 3 Panzer Divisions and 2 Special Operations Group for the Special Operations Infantry Armies. So generally speaking, we are doing great. As far as economy goes, we're doing also amazing. The euro deficit is massive. On the other hand, the debt to GDP is slowly dropping, as our real GDP growth is about 3.5% above 3.7% above the deficit, so we should be fine. And it's gonna drop even further if we can keep inflation a bit lower. I'm interested in seeing if the deficit is gonna drop in case we increase our income tax, which we should, as the poverty is going to drop and the actual people's GDP is going to increase. So I'm looking forward to that. Well, with that said, let's unpause the game and see what the game has in store for us. I'm especially interested in the story of Finland, because they seem to be in a bit of a pickle and I really would like to help them some way, but I don't believe we'll be able to. Anti-Hitler is just a joke. It's gonna be bad. We'll see. Anyway, we'll see. It's a bit depressing to know how much we have sent there and how. Well, I mean, you guys told me in the beginning that getting involved in Africa is not worth it, but I'm still hoping that maybe we can salvage something. Because I mean, the Black Continent, whether you like it or not, is one of the richest places in the world as far as natural resources go. And internal investigation. The ideologues have mostly been driven out, but there are still plenty of people in the NSDAP bureaucracy and Wehrmacht who have quietly pushed to maintain the status quo. By definition, this includes the continuation of slavery, an unacceptable position for any politically reliable National Socialist. As part of the modernization of the Reich, such reactionary elements must be swept from the halls of governance. Our reforms face a great deal of opposition from those who claim to be on our side already. We don't need these crypto-Bormanite rats gnawing at our foundation too. The R&D and NSDAP reformers must be merciless in the immediate expulsion of all pro-slavery individuals, so that the tendencies of our government may be permanently corrected. So we read this before, but just so you know, National Socialism drops, paternalism increase, which is kind of weird. I don't know how. We'll have to check what the preferences of the people are, and administrative efficiency will improve. So next we can go with outmaneuvering the mega corporations. And as far as we go, NSDAP 30%, reform reactionary Trinik. Okay, so actually the NSDAP has 34, 31 and 30, so that's 95%, but 44% of those are for actual National Socialism, 41% of them are fascist, and 30% are paternalist. Okay, gotcha. And then we have 2% Studentenbewegung, which is a 2% popularity liberalism way, or 2.35 to be precise. Then we have Reichsbanner Schwarz-Rot-Gold. Oh, that's the progressivism. That is socialism. And then we have antifascistische Aktion, 2%, socialism. Okay, so the popularity of our government is fairly stable. We don't have to worry. Because the fact that the NSDAP is actually split doesn't really matter all that much when we control all of the three parties. Okay, cool. The fuel situation is not great, but that's because we're drawing both the Navy and the air. The Pan-African Liberation Front has beaten the forces of the reactionaries in the West African Alliance in the chaos of the West African War. Make the enemy king by crowning him with love, and he shall be your servant of peace. Cameroonian African state. Okay. And they're winning. Because everyone else is fighting each other, and while you and Niger are allied. The usual suspects. With a crisp photograph of heavily guarded house next to him, Vessel began typing. To Agent Red, top secret information regarding the Antifascistische Aktion. We have located a house in Redacted and have surmised that a significant portion of Antifa's core membership will gather there for a highly important meeting. Vessel paused for a second and wondered what on earth made them think this was a good idea. Caution is always advised, even if you have been under the government's nose for decades. Your mission will be as follows. At Redacted, past midnight, you will infiltrate past security in the house. You will be given significant amounts of explosives, and you will need to plant them across several weak points throughout the house. Once you have done so, you will leave the residential area and activate the explosives using a detonator that will be given to you. Leave no trace of your presence, as the police will be given full authority to investigate the scene in order to appease the students. If you are found out, you must either neutralize any witnesses you find and then escape, or, in case you are caught, bite down on your cyanide pill. Though Vessel typed that out due to protocol, he knew that wouldn't happen. The agent would either succeed or die trying, and as it stood, it would likely be the latter. The rest is up to you, Agent Red. May Germany be in safe hands. This document is to be burned after reading. The clock strikes midnight. The hour of judgment approaches. So we have a 69% chance that the mission succeeds, and we will infiltrate Antifa, or 40% we fail. So we outmaneuvered the mega corporations. The largest obstacle we face in this noble endeavor is the Reich's megacorporations, Siemens, Reichswerke, Daimler-Benz, and IG Farben. All four make use of mass slave labor to varying degrees, with IG Farben easily being the worst offender. Using a workforce composed solely of slaves means immense profits for these corporations given their lucrative state and military contracts. Their CEOs enjoy lives of disgusting wealth and luxury entirely incongruent with National Socialism's core principles, while the common people starve and slaves are ground to mulch in their millions. To tear the Reich free from the grip of the megacorporations, we must be equal parts ruthless and cunning in our dealings with these parasites. Even with their most ardent supporters perched from the NSDAP and bureaucracy, they wield considerable political influence in the Reich, to say nothing of their economic clout. We cannot simply crush them, but nor can we allow them any room to wiggle free from our grasp. This will be the greatest challenge to our mandate yet. So, efforts again, IG Farben, Reichswerke, Siemens and Daimler-Benz increase in strength, and our administrative efficiency, society development will begin to slowly improve. Good. Meeting for a banquet. Are we going to kill them? I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I'm just wondering. Okay, inflation keeps jumping up, which is a bit dangerous, because... yeah, now we're at only 2.55% real GDP growth. Well, no. I mean, not real GDP growth, but 2.5% difference between GDP and debt. So again, GDP is increasing really quick one, but so is our debt. Might be time to start cutting the expenses somewhat, at least. So production. Still working on the cruisers. I mean, these reforms and refits and updates are probably fairly extensive. Okay, this one is gonna be done soon. This one is gonna be done in 4 days. Then 4 days after the next one. Then in 2 days. And then you were supposed to be done on 27th of February 1967. But I think it's gonna happen sooner. Still got quite a big chunk of ships to go through. You guys are still drilling. So are you guys. But the amount of experience we're getting is actually really good. So I think we'll be fine. We shall be fine. And how's the Air Force? Are we doing just you guys? Yeah. Just you. You have already finished drilling. Yeah, the Air Force is now using way less fuel. Which I mean, in a way, is great. Okay, 28 days until we get the improved assault weapons, and then we get the improved battleship hull. I'm not really sure what we're gonna do with that. Battleships aren't really a modern thing. They were kind of phased out in lieu of the missile cruisers and patrol boats. So I wonder if I know of any truly modern battleship. Because the United States have relegated to their doctrine of, aircraft carriers, and they're currently introducing the new nuclear ones. Well, I'll have to check. I actually don't know if there are any major new battleships. I'm guessing China probably has, but it's kind of hard because with the missile weapons, you don't really need the big guns. The sovereignty of Western Russia has conquered the anti-communist volunteer guard in the struggle for the fate of Russia. Yeah, Onega is gone. The doorway to Europe lies open, and with it comes the smell of war once more. Okay, so we got the new infantry recruited. So let's create an army. Assign a new commander. Do we have an infantry? Okay, just you, infantry officer, trickster, engineer, and fortress buster. That's pretty good. So Axel von dem Busche. Okay, so you are going to be, I think we have the 5th. So 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Then you got the 4th, 5th, and you are specialized. So this will be the 6th infantry army. Okay. And we need a new field marshal. Rodolf Christopher Freiherr. Okay, well, you're gonna be defensive. I mean, that is definitely something that you will need to deal with. So you guys drill. What are we doing on the Cobra missiles? Okay, we still, because I'm considering we might want to get actually one more extra army, because we would then have 3 infantry armies and 3 infantry armies, meaning we have 6 defensive armies and the rest would be offensive. It would actually make a lot of sense. So you guys drill if there is someone that needs to drill. They're already drilling. And actually we need to put you in some place. Now. So not that many places where we could put you in there. I mean, I think we could put you and the border of the Kingdom of Croatia. Meeting for a banquet. Kaisinger assures us that he has just the right tack for dealing with the pro-slavery interests. Predictably, we will need to make a lot of concessions to keep them in line, but tax breaks and specific treatment are a small price to pay for the corporations. Besides, the Reich, for their cooperation, not corporation, it's a small price to pay for their cooperation. Besides, the Reich is still a dictatorship. Once the Führer's position is safe from corporate influence, we can just adjust the arrangements as we please. The plan will be proposed to CEOs and officials from the megacorporations at an upcoming banquet to be held in the Führer's official residence. Everyone who is anyone in the corporate world will be in attendance, along with enough prominent Spierites to put pressure on the bloodsuckers and drown out any rumblings of discontent. An important feast. Preparing for nationalization. I think this means nationalization, like sending the people back home, rather than, the other part. Okay. Well, inflation is just skyrocketing. How is our base inflation rate? 6.4 all of a sudden. An important feast. Oh, and propaganda campaign ended. So we need to restart it. And we're in between. Soon we are going to be reformist. An important feast. So how are you going to sell it to them? Asked Kaisinger, leaning back to avoid another faceful of smoke. Erhard took a long drag of his cigar before replying. It doesn't need selling. They're going to lose their slaves, and they're going to like it. I like him. The deputy Führer looked perturbed. Ludwig, are you sure it's wise to... It's slavery, Kurt, Erhard interrupted curtly. Slavery. Never forget that. We're fighting to end one of the most evil institutions in history. The more ground we give, the more we legitimize it. And that's the one thing we must avoid at all costs. They'll expect a dozen concessions for every single man and woman set free. We can't have any of that. If Speer doesn't have the backbone to go for their throats, we'll do it ourselves. Kaisinger looked equally bemused and wary. I can't help but notice you've already turned this into a joint effort on our part, Ludwig. Remember that if one of us goes down, so does the entire cabinet. Erhard stubbed out his cigar in the fancy brass ashtray on his desk and smirked grimly. That's exactly the idea behind this push. Remember, we still have a dictator on our side. Yes, this will kill relations between the state and the industrial leaders, but that's what we want. Speer has already made himself quite popular, and if we can make a true abolitionist out of him, the people will never forget it. From there, the downfall of Abs and his clique will be set in stone. It'll just be a matter of time. Freedom will be won at the dining table. Well, I mean, it is widely known that slavery is not good for the state. Slavery is really good for the slave owners, but that's about it. It's bad for the society, and it is also bad for the slaves, of course. So abolishing slavery should really, in the end, help the of the economy. The Republic of China has stalled the flames of rebellion from the Western insurrection before it burns out of control, and there's probably Yinan or Shinan Reconstruction Authority has come to reestablish order in Shinan. The Mad Dog has been put down, and order in the southwest reigns one more. Cool. So no more war? And no more war. Co-prosperity sphere held on, unfortunately. Okay, so what is this? Infrastructure investment. Don't mind if I do. The sulfur iron. Base inflation rate. We need to lower the base inflation rate because it's actually quite high. What are we? Okay, we're working on the GDP increase. 20% reduction of base inflation rate up to 3% total reduction. Count for our pennies. If the base inflation is 6.42, then 20% of that is way above the 1% we're getting for the GDP. So I think it would make sense to actually deal with this. So we're gonna lose a bit of nominal GDP growth, but I think it is worth it in the end. It's at 0% effectiveness. Echegoyen elected in Uruguay. The 1966 Uruguayan elections have come to a close, and the winner is Martin R. Echegoyen of the National Party, who will be inaugurated as president since the constitutional plebiscite to abolish the colegiado reached the required number of votes to be approved. Being part of a minor left-wing splitter of the National Party in the 30s, Echegoyen quickly turned to the right wing, being part of the cabinet of the terrorist dictatorship. Eventually, he gained the trust of Herrera, and Echegoyen found himself being the leader of mainstream Herrerism after his death. With the shattering of the Ruralist as a political movement after the death of Nardone, Echegoyen is free to partake in anti-American policies. However, the political difference with the MNR-RB coalition will make keeping the National Party united a difficult task. For their sake, let's hope they don't invoke the anger of Uncle Sam. It's probably the first time we hear about Uruguay. So, preparing for nationalization. With the megacorporations somewhat appeased, we can go ahead with the next step of our abolition program, the nationalization of all privately owned slaves. Henceforth, each and every slave will be the sole property of the Reich government and shall be utilized and treated as the Führer himself directs. That this happens to mean far more humane treatment is an important bonus that will ingratiate us with the slaves themselves, the reformist movement, and the international community. Slaves can now expect the generally less demanding work, ordinary hours, and some basic human decency. Of course, they are still not free, but anything is an improvement for them at this point. Perhaps future generations will ask, why did you not free the slaves immediately? And will think less of us for it. This, however, is a small sacrifice compared to the good that this program will do for the Reich. Okay. And now we get the perfect plan. Abolition would only be the start of addressing the slavery question. Freeing the Untermenschen will ultimately only exchange one problem for another. We will be rid of countless millions of slaves, but left with an equal number of homeless, landless, and destitute individuals who cannot be granted citizenship under German law. This is the issue that anti-slavery radicals always fail to answer adequately. The Gang of Four, however, worked with the Führer on this for years and hit upon an ingenious solution. Dubbed the Rückführungsprogramm, the solution is set up in two stages. First is the abolition of slavery. This will see all slaves placed under the direct administration of the Reich government and granted special status. They will be confined to special districts and camps, though in far more humane conditions than the old Konzentrationslager. The second stage, which will be far more difficult, is to repatriate every single former slave to their nation of origin. This is, of course, complicated by the state of the post-war Europe. All Russians will be shipped to Moscovian, for example, but the Rückführungsprogramm remained the last best hope for millions of unfortunate. So repatriation efforts will be enhanced. We will spend 0.5 billion in debt and gets an event a treatment for cancer. Do we have the repatriation efforts here somewhere? Because I don't think I've seen that anywhere. Is it maybe on the economy? National corporate, social. Okay, preventable disease. Trade. I don't see the repatriation efforts anywhere. Maybe that's a chain of events or something. Okay, speaking of events, we need to look at the macro stats. So we're already reducing inflation slightly, which is good, but the deficit is still fairly high. It's dropping slightly though. Is there anything that we could kill? Pensions, unemployment, education. No, nothing here. Science, facilities, and research funding. How low could we get research funding? Okay, we would lose 10%, but the yearly deficit would drop significantly. So let's do that for now. And administrative. Okay, safety is at 0. Bureaucracy gives us taxable population and stability. Pollution funding and security funding. We lowered security. No, I actually think that security probably pertains to the Reichsnachrichtendienst, so we don't want to do that. Okay, we've lowered it by about 1.4%, which again makes a big difference because then the difference is 3.5% and the debt to GDP is going to drop significantly. Plus we're going to start lowering the inflation, which is going to bolster the GDP growth, so it should be fine. R&D operation failed. Oh no. It seems like our last mission failed in its objective. Whether it was due to a lack of technological advancements, an underdeveloped budget, or an understaffed and untrained agency, the R&D has lost some of its pride as an effective intelligence agency. The President is displeased to hear the news, although does not expect guaranteed success on every operation. The R&D will recover, and it can only hope that it will succeed the next. Dang it. Well, I mean, we had like 2 to 1 chance that it's gonna succeed. Okay, nothing here really changed. We can now deploy the Endeca satellites. It's gonna cost us 75 million, but I think that's good. Research speed. Temporarily. Counterintelligence. Okay, Endeca satellites are an advanced technology that the R&D has invented. With a significant investment into the satellites, the hope is to deploy them across states that we have an interest in. Our own neutral countries or unfriendly countries, it matters not. The R&D has promised that they will be extremely useful in gathering intel in the form of mass photographs, so long as they remain uncaught. So we get research speed of 5%, counterintelligence. That's actually good. I mean, we just lowered the budget for research, so this is going to help us alleviate that malice that I created for ourselves. By ourselves, I mean us, basically. No location set. Let's put you into Ostpreußen. And you know what? We're gonna create a second, or actually a third wave of units. So we'll have 6 defensive armies, and the rest are gonna be offensive. Okay, and we have a ton of naval units here. So I think you guys can stop drilling, and we can actually put you to repair. There's a bunch of you. Frigate hull, Rostock class, refit. Okay. We'll address that later, but you guys really need to repair. And you could upgrade, but yeah, that's not what we want. Okay, and we have our first Type 1001 class, which is a nuclear submarine. Nice. So we are actually going to be assigned to the Atlantic U-boat flotte. But you're gonna get a special symbol because you are a different kind of. Is there maybe a better one? No, okay, let's skip this one. I like that. And how are we doing on the upgrades? Okay, dealing with almost all of the ships. And hey, we lost. God damn it, I hate that this happens. We keep losing a bit of efficiency, which means that we keep losing factories on the last two. Yeah. Okay, this ought to fix it. Yeah, I hate that because the intercontinental ballistic missiles keep losing efficiency, and then they're not actually working, which sucks because we keep losing them as an option. But what the hell? The perfect plan. Okay, so we read this one, so now we added 0.5 billion into our debt and we'll get the treatment for cancer. And we finished the improved jet pulsar support and improved assault weapons. Amazing, but something is blocking us from... Oh, okay, so we cannot go with this one unless we have a full investment into science. Okay, well then for science, I mean we can still do it, but what the hell? You know what, actually let's end the episode here. I think this is a good place. In the next one we are going to assign new research projects, and we need to put you into construction. 1.71 per week. Yeah, so we'll let this one finish and then we're gonna assign a new one. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Now see you in the next episode, which actually I'm gonna record right now. I'm just gonna have some tea and then I'll be back.